Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Health Matters. I am Alpesh Parmar, and I'm glad you are joining me for our third episode. Today, we are going to explore the underlying causes of diabetes and focusing on how certain dietary choices can lead to insulin resistance. As you know, diabetes is a topic very close to my heart due to my family's experiences and my own journey with prediabetes. In my quest to understand this condition better, I have delved into numerous books like Mastering Diabetes by Cyrus Khambatta and Robbie Barbaro, Dr. Neil Barnard's program for reversing diabetes, and How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. These resources have shed light on how our diet profoundly impacts our health, particularly regarding diabetes. So let's dive into diabetes and what causes diabetes. Insulin resistance is what causes especially type 2 diabetes. So let's talk about how insulin works. When we eat, our body breaks down carbohydrates into glucose, which enters the bloodstream. The pancreas then releases insulin, a hormone that acts like a key to unlock our cells, allowing glucose to enter and be used for energy. It's similar to this, right? Where you see this is our cell, this is blood, and there is the glucose in the blood, and then insulin acts as this key which opens the insulin receptor in the cell, which allows the blood glucose to move from our blood, the glucose or sugar move into the cells, right? And when this stops working, that is when the glucose stays in the blood, and that is why our blood sugar or blood glucose stays higher. And so we need to figure out why this thing doesn't happen, right? So insulin resistance occurs when our cells don't respond effectively to insulin. Imagine trying to unlock a door with a key, but the lock is jammed. You keep trying and the door won't open. So exact same thing. When cells become resistant, glucose can't enter, leading to high blood sugar levels. And now we'll talk about, so we understood what insulin resistance is and what causes blood glucose level to rise. But what causes this jammed lock scenario, right? The key should be able to open the lock. Research suggests that high fat intake, especially from animal sources like meat, dairy, and seafood, can accumulate fat inside our muscle and liver cells. This buildup, known as intramyocellular lipid accumulation, interferes with insulin signaling. So, this is the illustration I was talking about. There is a door, there is insulin is the key, and glucose is the guest waiting to enter. But excess fat inside the cell is like chewing gum stuck in the lock, right? Basically, a chewing gum is stuck in the lock. Remember that fat, that oozing fat, which all of you love, that causes issues, right? Think about that oil and stuff you make, the butter, margarine, or even the dairy has a lot of fat. It takes so much time. There is so much grease and the stickiness that it takes a while for us to clean the dishes. Just imagine what it's doing inside our body, what it's doing inside our arteries, right? So that is what I wanted to talk about, the majority of this episode, right? When there is too much fat inside the cell, it is like gum jamming the lock. Even though insulin, the key is present, it can't unlock the door for glucose to enter. As a result, glucose stays in the bloodstream, leading to elevated blood sugar levels. Studies have shown that diets high in saturated fats can impair insulin sensitivity. For instance, Dr. Neil Barnard's research indicates that a low-fat plant-based diet can improve insulin function and help reverse type 2 diabetes. In Mastering Diabetes, they explain how reducing dietary fat to around 10 to 15% of total calories can enhance insulin sensitivity. By the way, the standard American diet, SAD said, is about 40 to 50% fat. Indian diet, which we call it like one of the tastiest diet, but we use so much oil, ghee, cream, butter, whatnot. That same thing. Our diet consists of 40+% of fat, right? And especially if you are using deep fried stuff, that would be even more. They suggest that, and I think some of us are even eating 50% or more fat every day out of our total calories. So reducing that down to 10 to 15% means basically not eating any ghee, not eating any kind of oil, etc. Dr. Michael Greger emphasizes in How Not to Die that whole plant foods can prevent and reverse chronic diseases, including diabetes. So, and the impact of animal products, which are like meat, dairy, and seafood, are typically high in saturated fats. Additionally, they contain inflammatory compounds and advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, that can exacerbate insulin resistance. Saturated fats. These fats can accumulate in cells and disrupt insulin signaling. Chronic inflammation from certain animal proteins can impair insulin's effectiveness. AGEs, compound forms when animal foods are cooked at high temperature, can damage cell receptors and can cause even cancer. So, the biggest dilemma everyone has, including my home, you might be wondering about oils. Why oils are plant-based? They are highly processed and calorie dense, with almost 100% of their calories coming from fat. So why limit oils? First and foremost, most of the time this diabetes and insulin resistance happens in people who are overweight, right? Or little above weight, or maybe obese. So why limit oils? Calorie density. Oils pack a lot of calories in a small volume. Do you know just a 1 teaspoon can be 40 grams of calories, right? That's a lot of calorie, and which can contribute to weight gain. Lack of nutrients. Oils lack fiber and are low in essential nutrients compared to whole foods. Why not eat olives instead of olive oil, right? Why not eat peanuts instead of peanut oil? Why can't you eat sesame seeds instead of sesame oil? So exact same thing. Impact on insulin sensitivity. Excessive oil consumption can contribute to fat accumulation in cells, similar to animal fats. On the other hand, nuts and seeds are whole foods that contain healthy fats, fiber, protein, and essential nutrients. They contain monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, which are better for heart health. The fiber slows down digestion, preventing spikes in blood sugar. Nuts and seeds are rich in antioxidants that combat inflammation. But even with nuts, if you already have diabetes or prediabetes, nuts and seeds are great, but they are calorie dense. And if you are overweight, definitely be careful while you are eating them. Overconsumption can lead to excess calorie intake, affecting weight management. So what can we do to improve insulin sensitivity and reduce the risk of diabetes? Adopt a whole food plant-based diet. Focus on fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts and seeds, and of course whole grains. These foods are rich in fiber, which helps regulate blood sugar. Limit intake of high animal products. Reduce consumption of meat, dairy, and seafood. Avoid or minimize oils, and also say no to anything which is ultra processed. Never. And even processed food, limit processed food as much as possible, and that includes white sugar, white flour, white rice, etc. Opt for avocados, flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts for essential omega-3 fatty acids. Some of the practical tips: I always read labels, and even my wife gets upset whenever I'm outside, I'm reading labels. Be mindful of hidden fats in processed foods. Plan your meals. Stay hydrated. Drinking water aids in overall health and digestion. Monitor portion sizes, especially with high calorie foods like nuts and seeds. Understanding the role of dietary fat in insulin resistance empowers us to make informed choices. By reducing high fat animal products and oils and embracing a diet rich in whole plant foods, we can increase our insulin sensitivity and overall health. Remember, these are insights I've gathered from extensive reading and personal experience. I'm sharing this information to spark conversation and encourage you to explore these ideas further. And one more thing I want to remind, I'm not a doctor or an expert or a scientist. So definitely consult your doctor. In our next episode, we'll delve into specific dietary patterns and how to transition toward a plant based diet that supports insulin sensitivity. So, I encourage you to reflect on your diet. Experiment with plant-based meals. Right? I have been vegetarian and vegan for a long time and now pretty much whole food plant-based. And of course, definitely, as I said, consult a professional. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Health Matters. Together, we can take proactive steps toward better health. Until next time, take care of yourself and remember your health matters.